Nintendo Switch is essentially done. We are on its last couple of legs, and it's probably done with any major titles or releases as we move on and transition to the new console. But even with that said, there's still a big Nintendo Direct coming probably in a week or two, and it's going to showcase tons of probably new titles to expect for the end of this year before we move on to Switch 2. A lot of us are expecting those titles to be very small, remakes, remasters, ports, and maybe just some smaller titles overall, like another Mario Party or Mario Sports game, but still, a piece of me, thinks that there is one big game left in Nintendo's slate for the rest of 2024, and that last big game for Nintendo Switch could be a game that we've been waiting for the entirety of the Switch. Yes, I technically have a hunch that there is a big possibility that we could be seeing a brand new Donkey Kong revealed as the next big game in this year's Nintendo Direct, and let me try to explain to you why I think this. It's now been over 10 years since the last original Donkey Kong game, which was Tropical Freeze on the Wii U in 2014, and then obviously Nintendo decided to re-release the game on the Nintendo Switch, essentially the same exact game with a new easy funky mode, but yeah, that was 7 years ago in 2018. So I guess you can say it's been a monumental amount of time since the last original Donkey Kong game, and it's crazy to think that over 8 years of Nintendo Switch, we really have not gotten a single brand new Donkey Kong game, whether it be 2D or 3D. What's going on with that? Well, I do believe one was planned, and probably planned to release earlier than now, but it just never came to fruition. And I do believe that there's a chance that this new Donkey Kong game may actually get here before the next console, and it makes more sense for that to happen, and I'll tell you why. Let me start off by saying that I would simply just love a brand new 2D Donkey Kong. It doesn't even have to be 3D, but I really do feel like it's a 3D game because of just how long this has been taking. This was another 2D Donkey Kong game to follow up after Tropical Freeze and Donkey Kong Country Returns to kind of make a new trilogy of games, which still just makes sense to me. It probably would have released already. I don't see how in the world it would have took them 10 years to make another game in this new trilogy that looked like they were making. But yeah, it's kind of telling me that maybe the studio that was working on this game decided to throw this into 3D. Remember about a year or two ago we were hearing rumors of a new Donkey Kong game coming, but no one could clarify if it was 2D or 3D, and this was coming from a lot of different sources, and pretty much no one could necessarily know. There was some evidence that could point to 2D, and there was some that could point to 3D, so we were just sitting and waiting with our hands under our lap to figure out what the heck Nintendo was working on, and what type of Donkey Kong experience that this was actually going to be. Maybe at one point Nintendo did consider going the 2D route, and then it just didn't work out, or they really wanted to go into 3D, which I can't blame them, because right now 3D sells. I'm sorry, that's just how it goes. Look how big Kirby and the Forgotten Land was, and maybe they actually saw this and realized that this next Donkey Kong game should be in 3D. Not only was Kirby the Forgotten Land just a huge game for HAL Labs, but it was their best-selling game by far, and is now the top 25 Switch games a Kirby game, which would never happen back then. Kirby and the Forgotten Land has sold over 7.5 million copies. This is nuts for any game, let alone a Kirby game. So it's clear that 3D definitely sells, and maybe this could have impacted what the decision was to do for Donkey Kong. And maybe there now is a Donkey Kong 3D experience being made. It just took longer because of the process of deciding what type of Donkey Kong game that they wanted to make. What made this more interesting is it seemed like the Mario Odyssey team was actually on to another project shortly after Odyssey, and there were rumors popping up of an Odyssey 2, even like surveys of Nintendo asking fans if they would like something like an Odyssey 2. And after a while, when we didn't get anything, like a couple of years later, we started to hear that the Odyssey team was apparently working on a 3D Donkey Kong game. Yeah, this is where it got really crazy. And then we were sitting here thinking, you know what, that makes almost too much sense. They don't want to just throw away the engine or anything like that. They could just use the Odyssey engine and just have a fun 3D sandbox style Donkey Kong game with the Donkey Kong characters. King K. Rool, bring them all back. This would be awesome. So we sat and waited, and of course, nothing happened. However, just the other day, Midori, a very reliable source on Twitter, had come out and said there is a project at Nintendo in development with the codename SP Red, which we know that Red is Mario's codename, so apparently there's some type of big new Mario game that they're working on. This just makes sense, obviously. But also, she says in the comments, Red is Mario's codename. There is a project at Nintendo with the title also Silver Star. Super Mario Odyssey was Red Star. Now, a lot of people believe that this could have been like Super Mario Odyssey 2, but every Mario game, remember, is something red or starts with red, and there's no red in Silver Star. So maybe it's somewhat related to Super Mario Odyssey, but not necessarily a Mario game. What else could it be? Perhaps it was actually a Donkey Kong game with the same engine. I mean, you've got New Donk City and a whole pretty much area of the entire game dedicated to Donkey Kong references with New Donk City. So, I mean, even Pauline's there. So what if there was some type of tie-in or some type of sequel that was mainly focused on Donkey Kong? Honestly, the time right now feels perfect for Donkey Kong. Not just because it's been 10 years, but considering the fact that there is a brand new part of the theme park opening up this year, which is the Donkey Kong expansion, and also the fact that there's been rumors that this next Mario sequel is going to be something involving Donkey Kong. So if there is like a Donkey Kong spin-off movie, I mean, even if there isn't, he's had a huge role in the original Mario movie. So, I mean, there's a lot of Donkey Kong going on without an actual Donkey Kong game, which just doesn't seem right. It isn't just a couple of rumors suggesting all this stuff. I mean, we were hearing things months ago and even years ago of an open world Donkey Kong or some type of 3D Donkey Kong launching on the next Switch. So I don't know if this is a current Switch thing. Is this going to be a next Switch thing? It just seems like next year will be almost too packed. If we're going to get a brand new 3D Mario, potentially a Mario Kart, a Donkey Kong, it's even time for another like brand new Luigi's Mansion, and there's just so many other games that we could go through, maybe even Splatoon again. I truly don't even know how they could fit in a 3D Donkey Kong, especially if it's open world. Like, what is going on with Donkey Kong right now? And we're getting even more rumors and stuff come out because we just got even more information about maybe even a game that was being developed already. Because just a couple of weeks ago, we were getting a new rumor that suggested Vicarious Visions, which was the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy company, and you know, they're obviously known for other games as well, but they were reportedly working on this 3D Donkey Kong game. But wasn't the Odyssey team, or is it the Odyssey team? Was it first this Vicarious Visions team working on this game, and then they switched it to the Odyssey team? Was it the other way around? I don't know what's happening. Where's Donkey Kong? Honestly, there very well could be no more big games for current Switch. It could just be all smaller things, but maybe there is one last big surprise that we can look forward to this holiday season. And I feel like if there is, there's only one of two options that really make sense right now. Brand new Donkey Kong game or Metroid Prime 4. So I'm willing to bet right now that if Nintendo does have one big game left for this year, that I'd say it's about 90% Donkey Kong. I really don't know what other series it could be right now, because everything else is probably getting ready for the next console, probably even this Donkey Kong game. So this is like the only thing that would maybe kind of make sense to end off the current Nintendo Switch, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. But I'm very curious, I'm very excited, and I can't wait to see what's coming up in this upcoming Nintendo Direct, because it could very well give us this answer. But definitely let me know in the comments down below, is it time for Donkey Kong? Are you excited for the next Donkey Kong game, and would you rather it be 2D or 3D? Or do you think there's going to be another big game of this Nintendo Direct, or maybe it's just going to be a completely small Direct with just remakes, remasters, and ports again as we wait for the next console? But definitely let me know what you're thinking down below, and like always, I will see you all on the next one. See you guys.